Welcome, friends. It's Ray. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm always in awe of the pictures I've seen of the Northern Lights, so I incorporated them in today's design using the emboss to resist technique. According to Google, the Northern Lights were visible in 10 states on November 13th. Also known as Aurora Borealis, the Northern Lights is a natural light display caused by solar wind particles from the sun disturbing the Earth's magnetic field. Now let's talk crafty. I have used my tape runner to add just a few dots of tape to hold this down to the base of my Misty. And this is an A7 waffle flower die cut, and I'm using the coordinating stencil and have put that in place, and now am affixing my background to the door of my Misty. I've applied some anti-static powder and then now bringing in my Versamark clear embossing ink to ink up my background stamp. And I'm going to do this and stamp it twice onto my card panel. First, I'm going to put some Post-it note tape on those bottom two rectangles on my panel. Here I'm bringing in Hero Art Sparkle embossing powder, and we'll use my heat tool to heat set that. I'm placing my panel back into my Misty so that I can stamp those bottom two rectangles. I'm going to bring my stencil back in and place that on top of my panel, and bring in a scrap piece of paper and use my magnets to hold that in place. So I'm covering all but the bottom two rectangles. I adjusted my stamp so that I will be stamping the bottom portion of my stamp in those lower rectangles. Here I'm adding that same sparkle embossing powder, and we'll go ahead and heat set this. The photos I show in the beginning are from a friend who lives up near Wisconsin, so she was able to get great pictures of the Northern Lights. I'm in Illinois, not too far from the Wisconsin border. I've added my panel to my Altenew grip mat and have affixed the stencil over top and pressed that down so that it sticks to my mat. And I'm bringing in some cracked pistachio distress ink, and we'll go ahead and apply that all along the center of my panel. Next, I bring in my twisted citron and will place that along the same areas just to get a different blend of green down the center. And so now I'm bringing in my picked raspberry versus, say, a red. I like the color blend between greens and picked raspberry. So I'm just taking that around that green and bringing in Victorian velvet to do the same. And you'll notice how the embossed areas are resisting the ink, and you will see that better in the finished photos. Next, I'm bringing in, it's weathered wood, bringing that in and going around the outer areas of each rectangle. Next, I'm bringing in hickory smoke to go around all of the outer areas of each rectangle. I'm bringing that picked raspberry back in and adding more of that color. And I decide I want to darken up those edges even more, so I bring in my black soot Distress Oxide ink. So here I remove my stencil and love the way that is looking. I bring in a dry paper towel and just wipe the ink off of that embossed area. I'm using an old Hero Arts kit from August of 2023 to cut out my trees from black cardstock. Next, I place these in my splat box and bring in some acrylic white spray that I have placed on my acrylic block, and I'm using a paintbrush to liberally splatter that onto my trees and then onto my panel. I thought that adding that extra for snow was befitting because we got our first snow of the season about a week ago, and definitely had snow on the ground on November 13th. I'm using my heat tool to dry that acrylic spray. Here I'm using a dry paper towel to just test, and the spray is dry. Next, I'm using liquid glue to affix my trees to my panel. And here I have added double-sided tape in key areas on the back panel, and coming in with that liquid glue to put it in areas where there is no tape, as well as on the exposed areas, so that I have time to place this panel on my card mat and adjust it if needed. And once I get it affixed to my mat, then I can remove the remaining release paper from that double-sided tape, and then go ahead and do the same technique to affix this to my card base. And here I'm bringing in my white gel pen and just a scrap of cardstock, and line that cardstock up so that I can clean up some of the edges where I have gotten ink outside of the lines. And this sentiment is from that same Hero Arts August 23 card kit. I'm bringing in some silver shiny stars to embellish this card and call it done. I love the way it turned out. As always, thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you liked the video, and if not a subscriber, will subscribe and give me a thumbs up. Until next time, good day, friends.